Okay, this is video number 5, and this video is for authors who also want to learn how to illustrate their own books. And I have some words for you guys, some advice for you guys. But first, I want you to go back and watch video number 4 because you need all the information that's in there, as well as this specific information for you as well. You can watch them out of order if you want, but you definitely want to go check out video 4. So the first thing you need to know is the traditional publishers, especially the big ones like HarperCollins and Simon Schuster and Scholastic, they love working with authors who also illustrate. Okay, there's some really good reasons for that. One, you can illustrate in a way, in a style, and write in a style where the text really relies on the illustrations and the illustrations really rely on the text, and it makes for a cohesive book that is it's a special thing. Authors alone can do this working with an illustrator. It's just harder. Typically, authors will over-explain in the text, and illustrators illustrating someone else's manuscript may or may not fully get the vision of that manuscript. But if you're creating the whole project, when it works, it can be magical. And so publishers love working with one person. It's also cheaper for them. They can pay less of an advance and actually end up paying the same or more. In other words, like, let's say they were going to give the author a $10,000 advance, and they were going to give the illustrator a $20,000 advance, and so the total they were going to pay out was $30,000. Well, they could offer a $20,000 advance to you as the author and save $10,000, and you'll probably take it because you're getting your book published, and you're going to make 10% instead of 5%. So typically, the royalty agreement would be 5% for the author, 5% for the illustrator. You're getting all 10%. So you're more apt to take less of an advance, knowing you'll make it up in royalties later on if the book does well. And so they can save a little bit of money. The back and forth is easier because they're dealing with one person. The communication's easier, and there's just a lot of Caldecott winners are author illustrated. So take it for that. So the difference in this video, this more specific information for you, is that I would still suggest getting an agent, but there are agents out there who also represent artists and author illustrators specifically. So look for that in your query letter. You might want to ask about that and say, hey, I'm an author who also illustrates. And one thing that I would suggest, though, is being open to the fact that you may be prolific at both the writing and the illustrating, but perhaps sometimes you might write a story where your style isn't perfect for it. And so I'd be open to the suggestion that a publisher might have of saying, and maybe reflect this in your letter or in your correspondence, I've written this story. I would love to illustrate it, but I'm also open to having someone else illustrate it. Because worst case happens, you get your book published, you get paid, but someone else illustrated it. I mean, that's better than not getting published at all in my world. Now, if you have a vision that you only want to, author illustrate, you can say, I'm not willing to compromise on that, and that's your prerogative. I would be open for the simple fact that sometimes people are better at writing than they are illustrating. And if you're coming to this as an author, that's your forte, and you're learning how to illustrate, there's a good chance that your writing is better than your illustrating. And as you're working on your art, the visual art side, you may want to sell books along the way, your manuscripts. And so I would be open, let my agent and my editor know that I'm open to that. So that's pretty much the only different information that I have for you, is that there are agents and reps that do both. represent both the author and illustrators. And so I would typically want you to look for someone like that. I do want to give you information that, one of the things that I do besides illustrating children's books is I am a co-owner of svslearn.com. I've got a link below. And that is a site dedicated to helping people learn how to illustrate children's books. So it's a great online resource. It's much cheaper than going to an art school. You can do it whenever you want. You can go at any pace that you want. And then we also have childrensbookpro.com, which is once you go through the foundations courses in SVS Learn, you're most likely ready for Children's Book Pro, which is the most comprehensive children's book illustration class in the world. And so that's something that I definitely recommend. People that have gone through it say it's the best thing that they've ever taken for learning how to illustrate children's books. And just so you know, most art schools do not have a children's book program, let alone a class anywhere near the depth of what we go into in this class. And we really do prepare people to have a manuscript and a book dummy ready to submit to publishers. And we talk a lot about that submission process as well. So that's definitely a course to check out. There's usually a waiting list to get into the next one. And thanks for watching this video.